Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests, and today we really have an honor to talk to Andrew. He and I met in the ICF Coach Cafe, so we meet once a month, and I feel like it's a fantastic group. Today we talk about special coaching. Andrew does coaching as an internal coach in a hospital with a focus on stress and burnout. Side gig is also people with burnout, hopefully not burnout before they have a burnout, but also where we need to highlight even more and also be grateful and thankful for the work you're doing for refugees or people who are in war-torn zones, which is a pro bono act. I want to say thank you for the great work you're doing. Tell us your story.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it, Suzanne. I guess I'll start how I got into coaching. I always say that there are coaches, people in helping professions generally. I find that they kind of find their area of specialty by what they've struggled with most in life. And one of the things that I struggled most in life was not being able to manage my stress and ending up in like bouts of burnout time and time and time again. Along the way, I picked up pieces of science that did help, but they kind of like helped on clearly a temporary basis because like I ended up ultimately in another round of burnout down the road. Over the years, over time, I managed to kind of put it together for myself in a way that I now know how to live without burnout. We're not taught this stuff. I kind of put all the different science pieces of that puzzle together in a way that supported me, in a way that allowed me to live without that burnout. I ended up just enjoying living without burnout. What can I do with this? I have so much like knowledge here that I think could help other people. When we master our stress, because we can't get rid of our stress. We are human and we have innately in us stress response system. So we can't get rid of it completely, but we can certainly master it in a way that serves us and in a way that we're meant to live as a human.
We need to have a little stress in our life because if we don't have any stress, we don't have to get up. It's kind of like the opposite. We become depressed. Is that a fair assumption?
We absolutely need stress. I call it the roller coaster that keeps going. It flows in and out, up and down, up and down, up and down. We need the stress response system, and it's there to protect us. It's there to serve us. It's there to, when I say protect us, from threat, from real danger. It's there to motivate us, perhaps, too. Maybe we're a little bit nervous doing something, but maybe we're also a little bit more excited when we do. That's all part of the stress response system. Our bodies, they're designed to cope with that in a temporary way. It's not designed for us to stay activated in that stress response. If we're not proactively keeping that in check, from a biology perspective, we are going to end up in that burnout. Because what happens physiologically is that, so the amygdala in our brain, it's connected to our fear response center. This is the thing that's constantly scanning back and forth for threats. The thing with that amygdala is that it doesn't know the difference between a real or a perceived threat. And so if we're not mindful of that scanning process, we might be activating our stress response for threats that are really not truly a danger. What happens when our stress response is activated? Just one of the many things. Cells are actually diverted from doing their normal duties in our bodies. So cells taken from the lungs, from the heart, from the digestion, our eyes. Like seriously, think about all of our different body parts and all of these cells that are doing beautiful things for us without us even telling them what to do. They're just doing them. They're going to be temporarily diverted to support that stress response. Some of the things you might see yourself doing is breathing more rapidly, like higher heart rate, pupils dilated.
Talking faster,
all the things. And if we're not allowing ourselves to get back to that homeostasis, the other side of it, the parasympathetic nervous side of the stress response, those cells that are diverted, they're going to still be diverted. And that's when parts of the body begin to shut down. We begin to experience physical pain, the physical stress symptoms, the emotional stress symptoms, the behavioral stress, all of the things start to occur. And so super critical to maintain what I call that stress mastery. The beautiful thing is that we have the science. And the beautiful thing is that the science applies to us all with nervous systems and with brains that are operating those nervous systems. It's also not a one size fits all. There's like 10 buckets of science that I've streamlined. They apply to us all, but how we apply it into our life is going to be different person by person because we have different preferences and motivations. And that's when things become unique and different.
And in your work, when people come to you, are they focusing on stress or are they already closer to the burnout?
I would say, unfortunately, closer to the burnout phase. I don't blame them for that whatsoever. I blame us, generally speaking. There's a lack of understanding of what coaching can do for people, number one. And number two, we're generally not taught the stress science, how we can optimize that would benefit us. So unfortunately, who I see are people who are verging there or there. We work together in the way that they want and experience a life.
To get them onto a healthy path again.
Not a stress-free path, but like a stress mastery path.
Okay, that's an important distinction. Tell us a little bit more about the refugee work that you're doing. And before we recorded, we were talking about travel. So first, it's the traveling, the fun, the exploring. How did you get into helping others who are in need?
My eyes opened up last July. That was the last time that I visited some countries in Africa. I ended up going to Rwanda, Uganda, and the Congo. I ended up in the Congo. My tour guide at the time, he asked me, we got to Goma, which is in the eastern side of the Congo. And he asked me that morning, do you want to visit a refugee camp? Honestly, truthfully, I said in my head, they have refugee camps here? I had no idea. But something in my heart told me to say yes to that. I had never been asked that question before. I had never experienced these kinds of conditions before, but something in my heart said, yes, I have to do that. He took me to this camp and we explored it. That moment changed my life. When I arrived to the camp, I saw conditions that no human should ever live in. Tiny, tiny little white tents. That's it. Little to no food, little to no water. The UN was present and supplying as much as they could to help these people. But this particular camp, I will say, was like one of hundreds. At this camp, there were about like 400, 500 people. Intense. That was like gut-wrenching for me to see, coming from what I have experienced in this life and the privilege that I have experienced. But then also on the flip side, on the outside of these tents, graffiti art of nothing but words like love, l'amour, French is their main language there, peace in Congo, peace in Africa. The hope and the love that I saw from the graffiti art alone, you couple that with the gentle curiosity that these kids were approaching me. They were like stroking my arm, holding my hands, biggest smiles from their faces, and they were laughing. We made them laugh. I was holding all those tears inside. It was, I don't know how I got through that, but I got through it. So flash forward, I get back to New York. I'm a meditator, so I was meditating. In one particular meditation, I remember an image of a boy that I remembered seeing in that camp, and he was holding a soccer ball. It was completely deflated. It was completely dirty. I couldn't call it a soccer ball. To him, it was a soccer ball or a football. Wherever in the country you're listening to this, that's what he was holding. And in my meditation, I was, wait a minute. If I sent my tour guide some money, would he be able to buy a replacement ball for this kid? And then in my meditation, if that's possible, what if we could get like a handful of balls for these kids? You just never know. Like the next David Beckham could be there, but they just don't have the access or the equipment to see. It kind of like built from there. After that meditation, I messaged my tour guide, who's now my brother. We're really good friends and I love him so much. He said, it's totally possible. I want to do more. I want to even do more. I want to see my meditation come to life, but is there other things that we can do? I will work with my team. He doesn't do this, by the way. He's a tour guide. This is above and beyond what they do for work. They're not getting paid for this stuff. Let me meet with my team, put together like a budget, and then I'll send it your way. So he did that. I started this fundraiser. It's still active, and we have close to 5,000 raised already. And we've been able to put together some incredible events for these kids, everything from the soccer playing to the food feasts, dancing, education, arts and crafts, beautiful stuff. Tears came down my face when he was sending me the videos of everything happening. Then flash forward to this January 2025. That's when things took a turn for the worse. That's when the Goma was overtaken by the M23 rebels in a very violent way. The reason why these rebels were actually there in Goma in the first place, they were escaping those same rebels from their villages and towns north of the city. The city was overtaken end of January. Thankfully, everyone that I know there, all of my friends are there, they have survived so far. But thousands of people have been murdered. All of the money that I'm raising now is going directly to help my friends, just basically with their survival, the basic needs, surviving. What also led me to want to do more than just raising money. It came to me probably in a meditation. That's where I feel like I get a lot of my ideas. It was, how can I use my skills to serve that population? My answer was pro bono coaching. If there's anyone who's stressed and burned out, it's people in these conditions. It's people who are experiencing these things. I haven't. And that was, talk about like a lack of confidence doing this, like moving forward in this way. I have zero experience in this way. It's something that I feel compelled to do. It's been extremely rewarding to be able to do what I can to support that population.
Thank you. And it's all needed. So we can all donate an hour to those people. As a coach, how do you ask questions? When we think of the ICF coaching process, do you follow that process, or I'm assuming you follow your heart or your meditation?
It's a combination of both. I follow my heart for sure. It is a coach approach, the questions that I do ask, but maybe they're spaced out with a lot of time in between. Even language on my website, I do say, I think the caveat here is like parties have to speak English to some degree, because unfortunately I don't speak other languages at this point, but I want to get back to, I did French in high school and stuff in college, and I want to get back to that. I want to become more fluent in that, because especially in the Congo, they speak French. How amazing would that be? That would open up more access. And so I have my eyes on that for myself. In some of these conversations, I always tell them, if you think you don't understand my question, tell me. There's nothing wrong with you if you don't understand my question. This is a language barrier, and it's important that you do understand it. So I will find a different way to ask it. I will go into Google and type it in and put it into French and then chat that back. We will figure it out, but I'm here for you. And that's happened several times, and I love it because it challenges me. It ensures that this is building that trust and building that rapport. And I know that's very much part of the ICF. And that is a huge part of this. By me doing these kinds of things, simple thing is, wait, hang on, go into Google Translate. I'll be right back. Little things like that prove that I do care. And it proves that someone in this world believes that they matter. So while it might not be a pace of progress in which I'm used to working with clients here, I have to get used to the fact that this is a completely different thing. This is a completely different vibe. I'm working with a nervous system this nervous system on the other end is truly looking on how to survive. I have to meet them where they are. And I know that's also like an ICF thing. You meet where you are. But it's just, I think it's getting really used to the patience. I'm going to ask this question in this appointment, and maybe that's the only question that I ask in this appointment. And maybe next appointment, I ask a follow-up question based on what transpired between last week and this week. I'm talking about this. I'm thinking about one of my pro bono clients. There have been weeks of staleness. When you overall look at the picture, where this person is now to where this person has started gives me chills, and it gives me hope that people can move forward, even in these conditions. I just can't even wrap my head around what some of these people are going through. They don't know if they're going to live or die in any given day.
Anything can happen, and they have to be ready, and the uncertainty is just around them, that awareness that they have, and the danger and the threats and
the armor that they have to wear in order to survive. What I've been coming to realize is the space here, the coaching space, gives them that glimmer where just let it all out and take off that armor, even if it's just for like an hour.
You create that safe space where they can be themselves. You meet them where they are and just give a little glimpse of hope
Yeah.
and provide love, right? Love and understanding and empathy.
The empathy is huge. The love is huge. As much as I can do it, if you want to keep going with this, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here as long as you need me to be here. That's a promise I make. Can't promise what they want. I can promise that I'm not going anywhere as long as they want to keep going. And it's also like my own growth as a coach, because making the separation of, I was actually talking to a different client today, not a pro bono one at the hospital. He was just like, yeah, it's not about, because he has a lot of mentees and he's feeling kind of like responsible for their progress. It's kind of leaving my pride at the door whenever I jump into these pro bono coaching. And that's helping me even become a more impactful coach on this side of the world, because we are not responsible at the end of the day. We can still love, we can still be empathetic, and we can still do all the coaching things. And it's okay if they're not moving forward in the way that we had hoped that they moved forward. That hour of love might be the thing that they needed.
I think they need more the hour of love than working on a goal and let's go, let's reach this result. It's that being with them provides them a safe space and also continuity in a way and a routine and getting a normalcy into their lives.
You'd be surprised at, I least expected, oh my God, I want to work towards this. And I was like, oh, okay, let's do this then. It's like offering them that consistent space, allow them to process things in their own way, in their own time. Of course, I'm not doing any sort of therapy in there. It's hearing them. It's letting these emotions come through. It's letting them talk about it. And then if I feel it's right, if I feel it's in them and we have that connection, what do you want to do with this stuff? What do you want to do with what we just talked about? What they say, I just got to think about what I'm going to do today. So it is that coach approach, coachy as you and I would think.
It's also not to be attached to the outcome, but let it go in a way. I could talk to you forever and listening to your stories. How do you get from when you travel to these locations, how do you get back to your normal life, your first world life?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I ever do. And it becomes a part of me. When I walk around the city, I'm from New York, I just feel so much more open than ever before. I'm so grateful that I don't have people like shooting at me. I'm so grateful that I get to work, period, earn money. I don't have to give this money away. We have taxes, but like we don't have to give them away to rebels. I'm so grateful that the gratitude piece is just running water, food, the basics, literally the basics. Sometimes I do find it hard. I find it very challenging if I'm in group situations and I hear people kind of talking about the quote unquote first world problems. I'm not going to say that I don't do that at times, but when I hear it, I'm more tuned into it. But like you guys, I don't always say this, but you guys, this is really not a problem. This is really not an issue. This is not a real thing. It's sad. But then I also have compassion for people on this side because maybe they haven't seen that. Maybe they haven't experienced that. And maybe this is the only experience that they know. And so it's a very conflicted kind of existence that I feel like I lead now. So I don't know if I'm ever fully back.
You're in
But
between. How do you recharge your batteries? It's almost like you're torn between this world and that world. But how do you keep from being away from a burnout when you're giving so much?
Yes, and that goes to that stress mastery piece and the 10 buckets of science that I consistently optimize regularly. That is the breathing, the oxygen, the health promoting foods, the physical activity, the basics like that. Some of it is that. Other parts are making sure that I'm honoring who I am. I'm honoring what my personality type is. I know that I'm an introvert. I actually like to be alone. Not all the time. This has been a very emotionally heavy year for me so far, not knowing if my friends are going to live or die. Very hard for me to process emotionally. But the point is that I'm aware of it. The point is that I'm acknowledging these emotions as being a part of the human condition. What I do as a part of the stress mastery is, not always easy to do, but like releasing these emotions in a healthy way. That could be talking about them to other people. It could be writing about them. Any healthy thing to kind of release, because that's the key. That's the emotional management key. I walk the talk. That's some of the stuff that I do to maintain my energy, refuel myself so that I can keep giving out.
All I can say is thank you so much.
You're the best. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for the great work you're doing, Andrew. If all coaches, if all people could donate 2 hours out of their busy schedule to help others, the world would be such a better place. Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday. Come and join us, learn with others, grow with others, travel with others, and don't be afraid. And also, Take It from the Iron Woman is the book Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Download it or get it in your local bookstore. Support local bookstores and like and subscribe to our podcast on the platform you are listening to this podcast. Thank you for your support. We'll see you next time with more. Bye-bye.